Episode 43, something fishy, and we finally got to Zhu footage.
Which we didn't initially peg, actually. We thought it was going to be some continued... I called it filler, but what did you ended up calling it? Like stand-in?
Stalling.
Stalling footage, yeah. This episode is odd.
It's basically revolves around Billy having a fish phobia.
Which, despite the fact that we've had several episodes already established where the Power Rangers go through their fears and their phobias, this fear of fish has never really been explained or explored up till this point.
I don't recall Billy ever going swimming in a past episode.
True, but there have been episodes where, like, Rita specifically focused on one or...
You're talking about Island of Illusion, right?
Unfortunately, yes.
What was Billy's fear in that?
I cannot recall.
Editor's note. Okay. Well, Jason, Zach, and Trini are going scuba. Apparently Jason is a certified scuba instructor.
And he invites along Billy and Kim. And Billy is, as we said before, terrified of fish.
And Kimberly doesn't want to ruin a good hair day. So the two of them instead decide to have a picnic.
Whilst at the same time, Bulk and Skull are on a fishing kick and decide they want to go and, try to catch some cool fish.
Yeah, Bulk overstuffs his locker where he stores live bait, which is, gross.
And also shows that the school is surprisingly lenient when it comes to making messes, unless it involves the Power Rangers. Then the principal's more than happy to send them to detention.
Yeah, Bulk's locker just collapses, he just leaves a big pile of stuff in the hallway, which I don't recall that happening when I was in high school, but I feel like, what do you think would have happened? Probably every teacher in the nearby thing would come out and say, clean that up.
There probably would have been some kind of loss of locker privileges.
Yeah, he even leaves it open, if you notice that.
Yeah.
Anywho, picnic with Billy and Kim. Kimberly packs fish and chips, which is just used to spark Billy's flashback for his fish phobia.
Which, he did, he stuck his finger in a lake and a fish bit him.
Yes.
Which, ironically enough, that's about, it's meant to be silly, but for a lot of people's phobias, that's all it really takes for a phobia.
Yeah, phobias aren't really logic-based. It's just something scares you at a young age and you develop sort of a mental scar.
It becomes impressionable.
Yeah.
And so, it's totally reasonable what's happening with Billy, which, of course, then leads to Rita deciding, hey, for no inexplicable reason, we are going to introduce a monster specifically focused on Billy's personal phobia. Behold, the goofish.
What a doofus.
What? We have had some magnificent monster names in this show, but goofish,
I don't know,
was the first one I could see that made the two of us stop for a second and just break out into giggles, because there's no way to make goofish sound threatening.
Is it worse than chunky chicken or pudgy pig?
Honestly, yes. Goofish is just it feels like I have seen someone try to serve a goofish at a really bad seafood restaurant.
Hey, Twill. Fight breaks out. Oh yeah, by the way, Bulk and Skull are fishing in a no-fishing zone because they fish up a no-fishing sign and actually collect quite a bit of litter, including a lot of garbage and a tricycle.
Which, ironically enough, they actually did a good deed with their fishing, because they basically were doing the magnet fishing, where you're cleaning up the crap you find up in a river.
Yeah, that's important. A lot of people throw trash in there. Don't do that.
Yeah. And so, Billy and Kim are, walking around in the park after their lunch, and they get attacked by putties. And from what I gather, the point is that the putties are there mostly to distract them while Rita is working on getting the goo fish to, actually spawn, I guess.
I mean, the monsters are made when Finster makes them out of clay and sticks them in that machine.
Right, so I don't really understand why the fight in the park.
Just to remind you that Jason, Zach, and Trini aren't available because they're underwater, I think.
Okay, yeah, because throughout most of this episode, half of this episode, Jason, Trini, and Zach are scuba diving, so they're not able to be reached. Despite the fact that we have a sea-based monster, they don't attack the folks actually in the ocean.
No, underwater monsters, that'll come later. Spoiler.
Right.
So for now, yeah.
I'm just sitting there this feels like a plot hole. So willing to focus on Billy's fear, that it ignores the very open, obvious targets.
Yeah. One thing that stood out to me, Kim and Billy are fighting the putties in the middle. Kimberly tries to message the other, and the putties, they just start circling around her, don't do anything.
Right, or the fact that we're being overwhelmed. There's too many of them. How do we beat them? They take a lunchbox and they put it over one of the putties' heads, and suddenly that turns the fight around.
Billy does a lot of backflips to get that cooler on the putty head.
Yeah, and ironically enough, that it shows one thing, how far Billy's come as a character, because in the first few episodes, Billy was not a martial artist. So
he was in training. He was had a white belt in Jason's class.
Right. So, but it showed in the way that he fought, and that he wasn't really proficient the way the others were.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see his progression as a character.
We kind of already saw that last time with the bucket thing.
Sure.
But Billy does get the highlight of the Ranger fight for sure.
Yeah, honestly, this was very much a Billy Kim episode.
Yeah. Not to get too far ahead. They do beat putties, and then Goo Fish comes out. Then it's Blue and Pink versus Goo Fish, and Rita casts a spell on Billy, which amplifies his phobia.
Right, and then as soon as the other three come back, they just finished their scuba diving, they come in, and the Goo Fish just hightails it out of there. And then the three of them act as if they actually fought the Goo Fish.
They teleport to the command center. Jason's like, it was too much for us, or something.
He didn't do anything, Jason.
I think he shot it in the back with his gun.
Well, yeah, maybe, but even then, you didn't fight it. But, as soon as they go to the command center, the Goo Fish comes back, and it starts attacking things. Billy is basically told to just get over it and overcome your fear.
To break the spell, he's got to face his fear. Jason, Kim are like, can you help him? Because we're really going to need him for this fight.
And it's just a thing that Billy can do. So they go into the fight, and the Goo Fish kind of wrecks them. They have this poison acid breath. The goo.
Silly string, blue silly string.
Yeah, blue silly string.
That cements 3 of their feet into the ground, and then it's got starfish that explode.
And then a fish boomerang thing.
The stock footage had them fighting this and Blue Ranger stopping to do this a bunch of times in fear. So they wrote a story around it. But Billy does overcome it, he just does.
And then they have the super high speed, spinning and flipping and moving all around the fish.
Yeah.
And then they do what I think is probably one of the coolest and smartest fight techniques I've seen in any of these monster fights. The Goo Fish has a goo weapon that creates this acidic attack. Billy tricks it into launching the goo straight above it, and so then it lands on top of the Goo Fish, burning itself.
Burning its eyes.
Burning its eyes. So, like,
Yeah.
that's really clever. That's
Part-
using the monster's attacks against themselves.
Yeah, part of the Ju2 footage, it wasn't just more footage, it was, they gave them notes to make them act more like the Power Rangers would. Like, they still have their weapons, but they're using martial arts too, and Billy, the Blue Ranger, fights more with his brain. In Sentai, he was like the young one all about courage, and the Black Ranger was the old wise one. Not old, but like the wise, quiet one.
Right. So I think it shows very much, like, if this is what we're going to start getting more of in the future in these fights, I'm super excited for Ju2.
Ju2, I think, is the high point of Mighty Morphin, which is the last quarter of Season 1 and the first half of Season 2.
Right. So it's definitely going to be interesting, I think. And of course, we then go into
Megazord.
the Megazord fight. And the Megazord fights,
It's decent.
it's decent.
But it keeps begging the question. They're like down, getting damaged, and they're like, we need more power. So, where's the Dragon Zord or the Ultra Zord? You got those? They
Right.
don't.
And instead they say,
No, like Zack comes up with a plan to somehow convert its goo into energy and use it against it. Like, what? That was way out of character.
right. And so I'm sitting there, all they had to do was literally flip the camera around. And I think the reason why is because the Sentai, they were relying on the Black Ranger, who, as you said, is the wise, quiet one.
Yeah, but again, this is Ju2 footage. It's not.
But I think the Sentai folks were relying on their mindset. In that one moment, they went back to the way they used to do things.
I mean, they just gave them footage where they're down and the red and black are talking to each other, and then they get up. So there's your footage. Write a story. Go.
Right. And
How about, Jason, we can't give up. Just tap into some reserve energy or something like that. I don't know.
right. It's not terrible, of course.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's not like Zack's dumb. He's not the brains of the operation, but he's still pretty smart.
Though it did lead to a really funny thing for me is I always love it when they reverse the Zord footage. Where, like, the Zord fell, and then they just rewind the footage back so that the Zord, like, moonwalks back up into a standing position.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's possible to stand up without bending any joints.
Exactly. So it's like, okay, this is a little weird, but okay, we'll take it.
It's not the first time they've done that.
Right. And then they defeat the monster. They defeat the Goofish. Rita does her whole headache thing. And then we get to the resolution. Billy's now no longer afraid of fish, so he goes fishing with Ernie.
Yep, they caught something. Ernie says, I'll go prep it on the house.
And then, of course, you have Bulk and Skull come in to see the conclusion of their storyline.
Yep.
And it's,
Skull messed up Bulk's scheme again.
we got this big fish.
Yeah.
And it's a big can of tuna.
Bulk told Skull to go buy a big fish, and he's like, yeah, this is the only fish I know. Like, no.
A can of tuna fish.
But then it's like, hey, let's see what you caught, Billy.
And they managed to catch a lobster. But it's obviously a fake lobster, for one. And it's also bright red, which means it's a cooked lobster. So Billy also had to have been lying.
Yeah. But then I guess Bulk would have had to be in on it because he got clawed in the nose.
Right.
Which lobsters, that's kind of painful. And also, I don't know.
Not able to be done when you're dead.
And then how do you catch a lobster in California Beach? Is that a thing? I don't know.
It might be, but you'd have to use a lobster trap, which is a whole different... Lobster fishing is very much a different style of fishing compared to, just normal,
lobsters are kind of dangerous, too. You can't just pick one up bare hand. Their claws, they actually get their claws in you. They're hard to get off.
Right, and so, as far as the episode goes, I think it's fine. I like the Ju2 fights. Like, if this is what we're expecting, like, it gives me good feelings for the future.
I'll say this, the Ju2 is definitely the high point for the Green Ranger, because we actually see him fighting monsters on foot.
Right, and so I'm excited. I'm very, very excited for what we're about to see. In the episode in and of itself, it feels like it's still a bit transitionary between
it's weird, but it's fun. I'll say that.
between the the I guess OG Power Rangers and what we have, what we're gonna be getting in the future.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this little nod. Ernie going on the house might be a leftover from a subplot that never got implemented.
Right.
There was the original plan. Well, the original plan for Ernie was a human form of Zordon, but that didn't get far in development. Ernie his subplot was supposed to be that he secretly figured out they were the Rangers a while ago and would always say on the house as his way of indirectly thanking them.
That was always sort of my mindset when I was a kid. I always was under the impression that Ernie always knew that they were the Rangers, but didn't say anything.
Yeah, that's definitely what he'd do, and who knows? They never had the chance, or they never got around to it, rather. But they never said he didn't know either. Like when they do reveal identity, Ernie's not there to say, oh yeah, I knew that.
Right. In terms of rating, I think I'd have to give this a 3 out of 5. It's an average episode.
It's got low lows and high highs, so yeah, 3's pretty solid. The storyline at first was making you cringe, and then you went quiet and got into it when they went Ranger.
Honestly, yeah, I think the human, the non-Ranger parts were the weakest part of the episode. They do a lot of build-up for it, but it shifts up the characters in such a way that I don't fully buy into it.
I do like the idea of Rita trying to attack him psychologically, but that wasn't good. But there is a future two-parter where she does a much better job of that.
I think that's the thing. Is like this concept has been done in the past.
Island of Illusion, which was not good.
No, and it will be done in the future, probably much better. This episode was not quite as bad as Island of Illusion, but it's similar enough that I think some of those...
At least it didn't have Quagmire.
Fair enough. That is a definitive improvement, but I just think it's a little too close to Island of Illusion.
Yeah. Well, we won't have to think of it that much longer. Next one, 44.
Lions and Blizzards, I believe is what it's called.
Why do I keep thinking of Narnia now?
I don't know.
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. It was a snowy area, too.
So it might be like a holiday or a Christmas episode.
Yeah, maybe. And I think I just dated myself. Alright. We'll see you in the next one.
See you guys.
Emerald! Ranger!